the comparisons are out there, and they're never going to stop. Kind of me, Pat, and Deshaun are kind of all grouped together because we're in the same draft class, drafted in the first round, and all that. But there's no do-overs. We are where we are. Our careers are going in different paths, and they will for the rest of the time, and they're always going to be compared against each other. So it's just kind of just the nature of the beast. But I'm in competition with myself, just trying to be the best version of me, go out there and win games for the Chicago Bears, and it's just something that I can't control.
That's Mitchell Trubisky, the Bears quarterback. He'll be facing Patrick Mahomes for the first time on Sunday Night Football on NBC. And look, it's not Trubisky's fault that comparison is there. He didn't trade up from 3 to 2 to draft himself. The Bears did. And the Bears are the ones who deserve the criticism that they made that move instead of standing pat or even trading down a few spots to get Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. But Trubisky's going to be the guy, Chris, who's always feeling like he's the one who's the target of that comparison and ultimately criticism.
Yeah, no, it's tough, and it's not fair to Mitchell Trubisky. You're right. I mean, hey, listen, the people that deserve that criticism are Ryan Pace. He's the one that made that choice there. And, yeah, it shouldn't be on Mitchell Trubisky. No, it doesn't look like at this point that he's ever going to be Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. It's not going to happen, all right? But it still doesn't mean he's not capable of winning football games and bringing your team to where it needs to go. Now, the question remains, we don't know where he's going to go. I mean, yeah, right? This was an inconsistent year. And can they win and really do something, as far as making playoff runs in a Super Bowl one with Mitchell Trubisky? I don't know. The question is out there. I felt more confident certainly after last year than this year, where it's been all over the place and there's been more bad than good. They got their work cut out with him as far as continuing to develop him and Matt Nagy and getting the right pieces around him.
It's matchup draft time, a Thursday tradition during football season, and the new tradition to determine the first pick. The trivia question Chris has today's for me. If I get it right, I get the first pick. Go.
Oh, I have it. Hold on. I'm pulling up my – here we go. Sorry, I forgot. Here we go.
I only spent 10 seconds explaining it to give you time. You should have had that light bulb flash when I started the explanation.
I'm thinking about matchups in football here. I mean, I'm just trying to do my job. Here we go. Tom Coughlin was fired, as you know, as the VP of football operations. As the Jaguars coach, he took the team to the AFC Championship game in their second year of existence. Who did the Jaguars lose to in that AFC title game, and who was the opposing coach? I mean,
who did they lose to?
Yeah,
who was
hurry up.
The opposing coach. They lost to the New England Patriots, and the coach was Bill Parcells.
I mean, are you kidding me, Stats? Are you kidding me with that question?
It's about time.
Are you kidding me?
It's about time.
I mean, I thought that question there for a second was going to go, what's that thing that everybody plays with on the football field? The quarterbacks throw it, and the running backs hold it when they're at, a football. Holy crap, was that easy. Jeez.
It's about time I get an easy question. All right, I'm going to start with the matchup that I wish would have come earlier in the year when both teams were alive, but one of them is still alive, and the guy who knows a thing or two about playing for the Steelers has a chance to beat the Steelers and knock them out of the playoffs potentially, and that's Le'Veon Bell, the Jets running back, against that Steelers defensive front seven. That's the matchup to watch. There are some Jets fans that we know very well who are confident the Jets can actually beat the Steelers, and it seems like every week the Steelers are the inferior team, but except against Buffalo and against Cleveland and against a few other teams, they've found a way to be the better team by scoring more points. Le'Veon Bell is going to be fired up for this one, and if Adam Gase is smart, he will use Bell early, often, and repeatedly because Bell is going to be driven to stick it to the Steelers.
Well, he will be driven, and you want to run the football on the Steelers a little bit, so you don't let that front four and that front seven and some of the exotic thing the Steelers defense do when you're passing the ball too much. That's what's dangerous about the Steelers. I mean, you said it. The Steelers, listen, the way their offense is, they're not going to blow anybody out. That's not going to happen. So I'm with you there. That's going to be an interesting matchup altogether. And I do think the Jets, keep that game very close. No doubt about it. I mean, give the edge to the Steelers, but I think it will be close. All right. I'm going with the Saturday matchup, McVay versus Shanahan. To me, I'm excited to watch that. Just because of the history of the two. For one, Kyle Shanahan was down there as the quality control assistant in Tampa Bay. The guy that replaced him, Sean McVay. McVay then goes on to work for Shanahan with the Washington Redskins for a number of years in the Shanahan family. Shanahan moves on to get another job. McVay stays there, becomes the offensive coordinator, gets a head coaching job before Kyle Shanahan. So I just feel like some of the personal competitiveness, let alone this is a big moment for both of these football teams. And the Rams
but
are
they got a head coaching job in the same cycle.
They did.
They both became.
I know, but McVay got it first. I know.
Because Shanahan was still working.
Well, I got it. I'm just saying. I'm just like, all right.
I mean, that's really.
Way.
I mean, if McVay thinks that he has an edge over Shanahan because he was hired 3 weeks earlier because Shanahan couldn't be because the Falcons were still playing, that's awfully damn shallow.
Well, I don't know if anybody thinks that. I'm just pointing it out, okay? That's all I'm trying to say.
Then you're
here.
Awfully shallow.
Fine, I am shallow. That's great. But either way, I'm really pumped for the matchup because of the personal history and the importance to both franchises. Both offenses kind of struggled last week, and it will be about some of their game planning and little tricks they bring as far as this week scheme-wise to go to as far as who wins the football game.
Now, look, I know Sean McVay's grandfather was in the business, but his dad wasn't. Do you think that there's any kind of edge, any kind of attitude, any kind of resentment when you're a coach who made it without dad helping you, even though Kyle Shanahan has done very well on his own? You know, we know how nepotism rules in football.
Sure.
Do you think the guys whose dads weren't coaches look differently at the guys whose dads were?
I don't know necessarily. It's such a family business to begin with, and I think McVay's a pretty, smart, thoughtful guy to realize that he got in the business too because of his grandfather. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Him pulling strings that way. I'm sure he had a relationship with Gruden to get him into that, to get Sean into that role there and get him in the building. So, no, I don't. I actually think with Kyle Shanahan, the fact that he worked for his father hurt him in a lot of ways because people didn't want to give him the credit for some of the things they did offensively with the Washington Redskins. They gave it to Mike, where it was really Mike letting Kyle do his thing. And I think that came back to bite Kyle a little bit in the butt a little bit between him being under not only Shanahan but Kubiak, where people gave those two the credit. They gave the credit to the head coaches instead of Kyle.
All right, next one for me, a guy who always gets the credit when the offense does well. Coach Andy Reid of the Kansas City Chiefs taking on one of his former pupils, Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears on Sunday Night Football. And I think Andy Reid is very smart about holding things back from some of his lieutenants and also studying very carefully how they do their jobs while with him so he will know if and when he's doing his job against them. And I think Andy Reid will have the better of this one, but it'll be fun to watch. First time the two of them are coaching against each other. It was Reid that gave Nagy the chance in Philly after he'd been out of football for years, kind of got into the business a little bit late, groomed him, helped him get the job he now has, and now they get to square off on Sunday night. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, no, that's going to be a great matchup. I am too. I mean, there's a lot of things at play there. And of course, Chuck Pagano's going to have his hands full with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. My next one I got to go to here is really Josh Allen versus Bill Belichick. I kind of want to say Brian Daboll, who came from New England. I want to add him into this too because he's the offensive coordinator, but more specifically Josh Allen versus Bill Belichick. Josh Allen was just too loose and crazy the first time around when the Bills played the Patriots, and his interceptions were the difference in the football game. I mean, the Bills lost by 3 points or 6 points and turned the ball over 4 times in the football game. So that just tells you they're capable of playing close. If Josh Allen can rein it in, not try to force things, don't let Bill Belichick get into your head with crazy, defensive schemes and people dropping here and whatever else. Take a sack sometimes, punt the ball. That could be the best thing you can do for your football team because remember, your defense is going to give Tom Brady and that average Patriots offense a tough time as well. My last pick comes from a sneaky great game on Sunday. The New Orleans Saints on a short week making the trip to Nashville to take on the Titans. Titans still alive for the postseason chase in the AFC Saints in position potentially to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Sean Payton versus Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator of the Titans, who has shown throughout the season that he can be very creative. Remember, it was that game, I think all the way back in week 1 against the Browns, Chris, where when you watched the film, it was every coverage imaginable that Pease was able to use to confuse and confound Baker Mayfield.
Right.
That is going to be the test. Can Dean Pease come up with the right calls to maybe anticipate where Sean Payton is going to try to create an opening for Drew Brees to make an easy throw that results in a touchdown or a big gain? That's going to be a battle within the battle, what the New Orleans offense can do against the Tennessee Titans defense. And the lower scoring the game, the greater the chance the Titans have of winning it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that will be a close game. And you're right, Dean Pease and company, they a little too much man-to-man, but they can do some creative things for sure. And, hey, let's not forget that Titans offense is capable of moving the ball too. I'm going Watson and Winston, the W's at quarterback. Watson and Winston, yeah. I can't wait to watch that football game for one, but I think the thing that where I look at here where this matchup is fun to me is both of these defenses are just not good in pass defense. And I know Jameis Winston doesn't have all his weapons at his disposal with no Evans, no Godwin, but still, this game is going to be won through the air by one of these quarterbacks and who can make the most, big plays, be the most consistent, limit turnovers. But I think we're going to see fireworks for sure in this football game. I think we're going to see both teams go back up and back down the field. I think ultimately Deshaun Watson, with the weapons he's got at his disposal, has got the advantage there. But I am excited to watch that on Saturday afternoon.
See, I had on my list another quarterback matchup, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick last year in Baker Mayfield, number 32 pick in Lamar Jackson, and a little rematch, a little revenge opportunity for the MVP and maybe some resentment from Baker Mayfield because Lamar became the star that we thought Baker was going to be this year. So I thought about that when that just made the fringes for me, but you kind of sold me on Watson and Winston.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.